What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Hey, in this video I just want to give you guys a quick update on the Arcam Avr20. I've had it for about a month now or so, and figure I'd just give you guys a quick rundown of the pros and cons of it, and what my plans are in the future with this thing. So first of all, whenever I got this out of the box, the first thing that I wanted to do was just plug it and play. I didn't want to run any Dirac Live. I didn't want any room correction. I just wanted to check this thing out by itself, and it didn't disappoint. The sound from this was, it is, you know, it's great. In my opinion, it's by far the best amp, receiver, whatever you want to call, that I've ever heard on my system. You know, this is it really is. It has a great sound to it. The front three speakers just really seem to come alive. You know, they blended so well together, but at the same time, there was separation from the right, center, and the left, and that was all around the room. Every speaker just seemed like it was in its place, but when the movie would pan from one speaker to the next, it was like it was meant to pan around the room. It just, I don't know, it seemed like everything just came together with this whenever I would just play it. Even music was just great. So then after that, after about 2 days of just listening to this by itself, I started running the room correction, Dirac Live. And Dirac Live, in total, I tried to run it probably about 12 times, and it only worked like 4 times, which it's very disappointing. You know, I was looking forward to Dirac Live. I've been wanting Dirac Live for probably about 1.5 years, and that was one of the biggest things that I've been wanting it for that long. So that was the biggest selling point on this. You know, I didn't want to spend, you know, $1,000 just on room correction software. So whenever I kind of came across this as a B stock or a refurb for the price that it was, I thought, you know what, why not? And so I trying to run Dirac Live, and like I said, I ran it probably about 12 times, and it only worked 4 times. And so that's very disappointing to me. And even the sound, once I would finish up with the running Dirac Live, it didn't do much at all. You know, it wasn't what I expected by any means. The bass on all of my speakers, or you know, I mean, all the subs, it seemed like it was just flat. So I raised the level on the AVR to +10, which is as high as it'll go. And the fact that it also only worked a couple times, you know, was very disappointing. Like I said, I tried to run it at least 10 or 12 times, and I don't know how many times that I was disappointed that it's like it would only take a couple measurements and then it would quit working. Or it would tell me that the software is not in its right state, and it needed to be reboot, or you need to reboot the software to get it to run properly so it can take the proper measurements. I didn't understand what all that was all about. So, you know, some of this could be user error. I don't know. But so Dirac Live, just in my opinion, it's not all it's cracked up to be. Like I said, it could be user error. I don't know, but for right now, I prefer Odyssey. It just seemed like it worked better. You know, once I would EQ all my subwoofers, and then I would go ahead and run Odyssey, it seemed like it would, the house curve that it would add to them and everything, Odyssey just seemed like it works really good in my room. So now the other thing that I didn't really like so much about this was the fact that, you know, it has 16 channels of processing, and I wanted to, you know, possibly put 2 more speakers in the ceiling, But before I did all that, I wanted to run an extra set of speakers, and I have the JBL 305 studio speakers that, they have their own amplifier in the back. So I plugged those into channels 13 and 14, and I couldn't get any sound out of them at all. So I don't know if that was me or if it's the receiver. I'm not sure, but I went into the receiver, went into the menu, and you have to turn them on, you have to activate them or whatever, and it says channels 13 and 14, select the speaker type, and I selected type front wide. That's what 13 and 14 can be, or a subwoofer, and I couldn't get any sound out of them. I put Ready Player One in, and that's a Dolby Atmos disc, and I couldn't get the receiver to get out of Dolby Surround, and I couldn't get it to come out of DTS-X or Auro 3D. I couldn't get it to Dolby Atmos to try and actually see if that was the problem, if that's the reason why the channels 13 and 14 weren't working. I don't know, but I tried for about a day. It just seemed like it was getting repetitive, and I couldn't figure it out, so I got aggravated with it, and I kind of said, you know what, I'm done with this thing. That was kind of the last straw, so it's going back. The other thing that the remote control, I've been holding this in my hand, and the remote, once you hit any one of these buttons down here, you have your AV, your Blu-ray disc, CD, your SAT, auxiliary, game. So if you select the game and then try to control the receiver, it won't let you control the receiver. You have to hit the amp button, and then you can control the receiver, which I think is kind of dumb. I don't understand why you have to do that every single time that you switch one of these. I kind of get it that if you hit this button and now you just switch to the satellite with cable box, the remote control now thinks that it's controlling the cable box, but that's not what I would think. That it's just, I don't know. You would think that as soon as you hit that SAT button, that the only thing it's doing is just changing the source input on the receiver, and it's not actually changing the remote. So I don't know. And the one other thing, or there's two other things that I didn't really care too much for. The other night I was watching a movie, and I hit pause on the movie, came back and unpaused the movie, and I got no sound. Hit pause again and hit play on the movie, and the sound came back. So I don't know if that was just the DVD, or if it was the Xbox, if it was a bad HDMI connection, if it was a handshake problem. I don't know, but I wasn't too happy about that either. And then once I did a firmware update, the center channel, it started having just a little bit of static every now and then. It wasn't all the time, but it was just noticeable that at times you would hear it in a movie, like if there wasn't hardly anything else playing and they were talking just out of the center channel, then every now and then you would hear just a little bit of static or something, and it's something that you had to listen for. The first time that I heard it, I just brushed it off, and then it's like you hear it again and again, and it's like, okay, something's going on here. So that was something else that I wasn't too happy about. So, but anyway, guys, like I said, this is going back. The money that these cost, I would expect them to perform 100%. I don't want to pay as much money as I did for this and it only to be 70 or 80%. I want it to be 100%. I don't want to have to work through all these firmware updates and stuff like that with them to get something that costs that much money to get it to work right. I want it to work right whenever I first get it. So that's just my opinion. If you're on the fence about purchasing an Arcam, maybe take what I'm saying with a grain of salt. I just personally think that, like I said, if you're going to pay that much money for something, then you should get what you're paying for when it comes to the way that it works. You don't want to get something that you have to fix yourself. Whenever I pay $3,000 or $4,000 for something, I don't want to have to work on it. You know, I want to get home and plug and play and set up room correction and do this and just have fun. I don't want to have to worry about, you know, a new firmware update because something's bad in there and they're trying to fix it on the fly. To me, that's kind of BS. You pay that much money for something and you shouldn't have to worry about fixing it. They should have to. Arcam should have never released this. If okay, I'm just gonna kind of end it right there. I'm not gonna, you know, sit here and kind of bag on Arcam and stuff because the receiver sounds fantastic. All right, guys. So I want to give you guys a quick rundown of where I'm at now with this receiver. Just a quick recap on the first half of this video. I still stand by the fact that I didn't believe that Arcam should have released this with all the problems that they were having. I just don't feel like that you should have to worry about anything going wrong with something that costs as much as one of these do. And Dirac Live, with it not working that often, you know, I still feel like that's just not acceptable. However, with the prices going up on a lot of stuff right now, and, you know, this being one of them, and I've had this for a little bit longer now, I've actually figured some of the stuff out. I actually figured out how to go ahead and get channels 13 and 14 to work. I ran Dirac Live a couple more times. This has been probably about a week since the first half of this video. So, you know, in the last 6 or 7 days, running Dirac Live a couple more times, getting it to work, playing around with the settings and things like that, figuring out, you know, the formats that need to be ran, or not need to be ran, but the formats that these will work, which is, if I'm not mistaken, it was DTS:X Pro and Dolby Atmos, and I believe it's Oro 3D, or maybe Dolby Digital, I think is what it is where the extra surround speakers will work. You know, they don't work in all formats. And that was my fault. You know, I didn't know that at first. I thought, you know, once these were plugged in, that they're just like any other speaker for the most part, you know, that they should be playing right along with the surround speakers. But, you know, obviously they don't. So once I figured that out with these and Dirac Live, I was able to get the bass to actually be very present in my room, which is right now, it's I'm still working on it. You know, whenever I set my filters for this last for the last one that I ran, the bass is actually bloated now. It's too much, and so I have to go back in and change some of the settings and drop some of the filters down. But it's stuff like that that keeps me happy and interested in this hobby. You know, you have people who are kind of like a set it and forget it type of person, where they want to just bring something in and they want to hook it up and they want to sit back, listen to some music or watch a movie or something like that. And that's fine, but that's not me. I like to actually tinker with things and play with things and figure out how can I make this sound better? How can I do better with this? And one of the hardest parts for me so far with this receiver is I've always been kind of the person, and I know I'm not the only one. I know there's a lot of people that are like this, that we don't read the user's manual. You know, we don't read the guide. We don't do anything. It's just, you know, give me the remote. I'll figure this out on my own. And can't necessarily do that with this receiver. You know, it's a lot more technical than that. And I guess it's a challenge for me. And so I'm going to go ahead and keep this receiver. And that way it'll give me some stuff to do. It gives me more to work with speakers wise, you know, with the things that I want to do in the future. And so like I said, I just wanted to give you guys an update on the previous update of what I'm going to actually do with this. So it's not going back. I'm going to keep it. The sound is great. You know, the sound is better than anything that I've heard in my room. And so that's a big plus. So I just feel like the upside outweighs, you know, the downside of just a bug here or a bug there that hopefully, you know, will be fixed sometime in the very near future. But anyway, guys, I'm going to end the video with that. So until next time, thanks.